You just called him a
I
dumbass. Victor made
well,
it. Yay!
yeah,
Just
you
in
made it on time
time.
as soon as I transitioned.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
Hey, yo, what up,
Let's
everybody?
go.
He's always been here.
Yeah, exactly.
All the time.
We definitely did not give ourselves enough. You know what? Fuck it. I'm not gonna say anymore just because I was messed up already what I was about to say. But let's go ahead and would like to say to address to people that did watch us and maybe in this case mostly criticism to ourselves about like we'll try to do better with how we dive into topics in this stream or videos depending on how you guys want to watch it.
We'll get better. No
Yeah.
worries here.
Yeah. So, if anything, let's go ahead and start off with today's topic, which, yes, again, everybody, we're talking about the Game Award stuff.
Yeah,
We're gamers. What can you expect?
Yeah, but
we're
not-
awarding. Let's go.
if anything, it's not even specifically well, actually, it is about the Game Awards, but it's mostly about the individual that's hosting the Game Awards, such as
Yeah, we
Jeff
hate
Keighley.
him.
Yeah.
No, we
Yeah,
don't.
how dare you hate the Pope of Doritos? But
I don't hate him. I hate you.
Oh, hold on there.
I hate you
Man.
for liking him.
God, what the fuck, guys?
But I don't hate him.
So which is it, you assholes?
Good.
What the
Yes.
fuck? We'll bonk something in the background. Anyways, moving on. So let's go straight into it. Why are we talking about this again? Well, for all the viewers that never asked that question, it is mostly because what caught my attention was a very interesting article that came about that is to criticize the host Jeff Keighley about in the way of how they were running the game show awards. Now, I could say for a certainty there were at least some criticism of like last year's Game Award that a lot of gamers or viewers did not like, such as the whole award show itself felt more geared towards like celebrities and sponsorships and more trailers than it was to showing appreciation of game developers.
Mm-hmm.
Which, in all honesty, it seems like a fair criticism. And Jeff Keighley, on another interview, or if he already mentioned statements about or trying to address all the criticism, said that he is going to do better, saying that obviously this was him really pushing the envelope on this one, and he is going to reassess himself, and then until the next year's Game Awards, he's going to do better. At least he addressed it, which is probably good. However, that is not exactly what people are criticizing about, or at least based off of this one person that wrote this article for. Essentially, it feels like a slander piece more than it is actually criticism. So let's go ahead and talk about like what exactly like the main criticism of this article that we are trying to talk about. We're not going to try to read a lot of the stuff that's in this article just because it's available online if you guys are ever curious of trying to find it. But let's go ahead and just let me go ahead and reveal this on here. Boom. All right, so now everybody on stream and everyone else here, I don't need to stream it on Discord because each and every one of you has this article open up on your end, right?
What?
What?
No.
Oh, God damn it. Y'all, please. But it goes to show like the person that did write this piece, the only things that I will say in summary, what he was, the article himself was upset about towards Jeff Keighley was that he never made a tweet, not even a statement, just a tweet that addresses the video game industry, or at least the current state of it. Now, I want to pawn this question off to you guys, saying that as a way to really state that, does Jeff Keighley, in this case, mostly just a host for the Game Awards, does he have any responsibilities of like, or does he have any incentive to really like address or talk about the state of the game industry?
Isn't he just basically in entertainment,
Yes.
but not like specifically games?
Well-
So like he just hosts shows.
Yeah, like he's part of the show business that just so happens to talk about games.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like he's obligated to do anything.
Yeah. I think it's the way how they're trying to phrase it too, where like Jeff Keighley has like an important, is in this case an important figure within the gaming space, but there's difference in that, such as Jeff Keighley is just mostly hosting shows about it. He is passionate about games, but at the end of the day, he still needs to run a show in the end. So
True.
it's like whether or not if he wants to address whatever current state the gaming industry is in is honestly still up to him, but in no ways is he obligated to even talk about it. Unless, if he's also going to claim that Jeff Keighley is like a compromised like individual, such as he takes sponsorship deals, maybe the article writer could take some of the money from this article and give him money to Jeff Keighley to talk about issues. I don't know.
Shut up. He won't do that.
Hey, no, they won't. But I'm just saying too.
Everyone
it's
likes to preach.
Yeah, it's a lot of this just feels weird reading this article. Like, just going through and through, he criticizes him for just lack of talks about the gaming industry, which is, I want to at least provide the point of, in this case, why Jeff Keighley is not obligated to do so. It's not in the fact that he doesn't want to do it just because it will probably hurt the image of the Game Awards, which probably it would. But at the same time, the show is still meant to highlight the best of the gaming industry, no matter what. So even if the gaming industry is going through turmoil, he's not going to really put it in the show, which, if you think about it realistically and how that production is going to play out, it's going to feel awful on everybody just watching that. And I think I've found it many times before, probably when we said this on stream or off stream, a lot of gamers don't, sadly, or it's not even sadly enough, but it's just like we just don't care about what happens to like game industries.
If I want to be honest, I think like people in general, when they're just buying a product or using a service, they're not going to care like about who makes them.
Like, sure, it's great to talk about like the people that are like making the products that we're using, right?
No.
What? You contrarian bastard. I'm kidding.
But at the same time, let me be completely honest with you. When have you talked about the developers or the engineers or the people who've made the things that you buy? Let's say your phone, for example. I know this is a weird example, but I'm just trying to get a point across.
Okay.
Yeah, go on.
Well, that was my point. My point is, do you ever think about the engineers that make your phones or anything like that?
Oh, okay. I thought you were about to elaborate further on for that. I got a little bit confused after that. Oops. But
I remember there was this one time, I don't know when it was, but Apple had to put a net outside their window to prevent their employees from jumping off and killing themselves. I don't know if that was real. Hold on. I legitimately, I don't know if that was real, if that was like some weird April Fool's joke.
It sounds something that would happen at like in a Chinese manufacturing plant.
Well, I think it was Japanese.
Yeah, well, maybe. But continuing on from like other things that I might have said, I'm sorry if that offended anybody.
Well, the reason I brought that up is because it seems like very rarely do we think about the people who actually build these things.
Yeah,
I don't feel like we think about the people who make anything that we have in our house.
Like
and I'm not saying games should be. I'm not saying we should think of games differently, but
no.
I'm with the majority of the people, where they're not really concerned about the developers.
Yeah, and here's the thing about it, to provide like a little bit more definition about it. It's not the fact that we don't just care about the developers. It's like at the end of the day, that is the game developer's job is in the end to service the customer, which is us in the end, bottom line, no matter how you want to word it to. And I think the main issue with like the way how this article writer is trying to make it out to be is that the problem with the gaming industry is that it's so self-serving to themselves and not to the customers. It's more focused on like patting themselves on the back and then showcasing it to other developers on what a good job they did to them, instead of like, probably make better products for people to actually like and care about.
And real quick to interject, it does turn out it was Chinese. I linked the article in the.
Oh, okay. Well,
just for if y'all want to look at it later.
Yeah, I will say too, that was unplanned of. I was honestly just kind of saying it out. My bad to anybody that was listening in. I'm so sorry. But moving on from that topic here, it's like going from that, game industries have, in this case, you've seen the issue of like a lot of game developer studios are just straight up like not making what we the consumers are thinking, like these are not good quality games that they're publishing or releasing anymore. Like, let's take for example the most recent game, Suicide Squad to Kill the Justice League. That game absolutely flopped.
Oh yeah.
Based on, in this case, the actual like head from Warner Brothers here. The biggest issue I've had with that is that it's not the messaging in the game too, where like multitudes of problems such as they tarnish Kevin Conroy's legacy, which I feel a little bit more hurt about that, just because I wanted like the many figures I would love to meet in person, but I don't think I'll be able to get to anymore. So going from that, tarnished his legacy. And it's also like the main problem is the fact that I look at this game and I'm like, who's this supposed to be for?
I actually haven't seen any gameplay or anything of it. I will hear people talk about how bad it is.
Like, I will say for certainty, the best way to really describe it is that if Ubisoft was the one that made all of like your map markers in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but instead of putting it on the main map screen, just put it on the screen where the player is playing, and it's a loot and shooter. It's even more disgusting to look at and a lot more nauseating to look at. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't think there are bad looter shooters. There are bad looter shooters. It's just the fact the only good exception to that is like maybe Borderlands and Warframe, for example. Those are the only two examples I could think of. But at this point, anytime I look at Warframe gameplay, I start to have an aneurysm.
I agree. Yeah, it does give you very weird stimulation with all the colors and the effects and everything.
Yeah, it's like I get that. It's like I get what they're trying to do with it too, but obviously the original vision to Suicide Squad was very much questionable of like what they were trying to make this for. Like, it didn't really make sense of why the development of this game ended up the way it was, especially for the same studio that brought you like all the Arkham games, which were mostly single player experience. And we already knew this was going to be the downfall because of, in this case, the whole Arkham Knights, or whatever the most recent Arkham game was, where it was essentially a 4-player co-op playing as all the other Batman sidekicks. I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. Yeah. I don't know. It really, like, I think that was like noticeably, I don't think Rocksteady was, in this case, staffed with the original people that created the original vision of the game. That's what it felt like, what happened with that game, and it translated to Suicide Squad to Kill the Justice League. At least that's how I viewed it, and how, to me, that felt like a natural transition of degrading quality. Now, aside from that too, there were many examples of this too. Halo Infinite was also another flop of a project from us begrudgingly admitting 343 should not have been around.
Yeah, I didn't like Halo 5 at all.
Nobody did. I don't think anybody is unique for saying that.
Yeah, 343. I'm like, they can keep making games, but that doesn't stop us from criticizing
the thing about it is that
here's the thing about keep making games, just not Halo.
Yeah. Here's the thing about what's happening with this. This is at least a take that we've already said about this. 343 Studios have already messed up 3 times in creating a Halo game. Now, given Halo's 4 and 5 might have really good records, but the fan base overall hated those.
Yeah, dude.
I kind of think the hatred for 4 is a little overblown, but that's off topic.
A little bit, yeah. But like I said, it's like we've already seen in this case like a more recent trend of like a lot of game studios just falling off in quality. But then again, you would think that, and then you see the whole news that we talked about earlier about Pal World and even more like indie titles that are making like box office records of sales. Hell, Helldivers 2, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, they have even way more players that are currently playing Modern Warfare, and there was at one point they actually exceeded more players playing PUBG.
Ooh, damn.
That which is already like for a very much like. In your opinion, Victor, do you consider Arrowhead Studio a small or a medium-sized company?
Who's Arrowhead?
They're the ones that made Helldivers too. But anyways, yeah.
Well, I mean, we gotta look. How many people do they have? I don't even know their company. I don't even know their company, bro. You gotta compare. You have to, in order to judge the size of the company, you have to know how many people works there on top of the budget that they had for the game.
Yeah. So, if anything, the only thing that at least we were known to at least is that as of 2023, they have roughly around 100 employees. So,
okay.
So
definitely mid-size.
Yeah, definitely mid-size, and it's also like we're not even sure like how much of those were like divvied up to like work on the game as well, because they have other project titles that on here like Magicka, Gauntlet, the original Helldivers, and other stuff, but not important here. What I'm trying to say is the fact that here in this year alone, there's already like a lot of like great quality games that are coming out too. And guess what? A lot of the good quality games that are coming out are also coming from like out of like the US market. In this case, Baldur's Gate 3 was in this case Larian Studio, who are in this case not from America. I believe they're a Swedish company. Someone look it up for me in the background. Fact check me.
Not Swedish, somewhere in Europe.
They're
Larian Studio. Belgian company. There we go. Sorry about that. But yeah. So really there's that. You even have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth that just came out, right? I don't want to talk about the controversy about all that stuff to apparently what's going on there. But
same, bro.
You have that. You even have like Tekken 8 that came out, smashing like fighting game records again too, right on top of Street Fighter 6. Like the amount of, in this case, games that at least I cared about was great. That's why at least at the end of like our previous video about the Game Awards, I'm actually a lot more hopeful about the gaming industry. But then in this case, there is a caveat to all this. A lot of what I say I feel good about are in this case games that are not from America. Or at least a lot of game studios are not from America. The only exception will be Ubisoft, and that company itself is currently imploding right now. I'll just say it in like a few words, dude. Skull and Bones was absolute garbage. Fucking quadruple A game, my ass to sell this game for a $70 live service game barely is like a playable Black Flag.
Well, that's a big problem. If they can't even fucking keep like be up to date with it and it's live service.
It's not even that too. And you want to know the most funniest thing too? As soon as Skull and Bones got released too, Assassin's Creed Black Flag saw an uptick in players playing the game.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that is the current state that a lot of like the well-known established game companies are at right now. Activision Blizzard is like currently just falling head over heels on themselves, or even in this case, they're sucking themselves off from the behind. I don't know. It's one of those things that it's a lot more shocking of why that's happening to, but then I see the layoffs that are happening, and it's like in one way, I do feel bad about it, but in the company's point of view, it's the problem that they legitimately have way too many people in their ship. I think that is the only.
Uh,
At least that's how I kind of see it too. But then again, you also had like studios like Insomniac that released Spider-Man 2, which it sold, like it made Sony a lot of money, but unfortunately they had to force Insomniac to lay off people, which is even more depressing. Like, I don't know.
That's probably another issue that we're not discussing right now. But
Maybe,
that's
but that could be something that like this is like already an issue like in the game industry space to begin with, right? Which sure, let's just say for Jeff Keighley, an example to tie it all back to the Game Awards stuff. Does Jeff Keighley need to talk about this? In this case, in a platform where they are trying to, or he himself is like showcasing that the excellence in like game developers to make great games for the gaming community. Does Jeff Keighley have some responsible for that?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so, because if he's just like, let's just, if he was more prominent and he's like, being, invited to all these, how would say, like game events, and he has some input in the development of these games, then yeah, he's like behind the scenes working these people. Then he can have a say. He can have a better viewpoint and can further explain how he feels about the current state of the industry. But if he's just a host, which you just said, for an event that wants to paint developers in, like, in, shining spot in their excellency, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
fucking can't
words
speak right now. But yeah, the whole point of that Game Awards is to showcase all these excellent games and how people love these games and they want to see it win an award, because either like they put so much time like into the games, whether it's like through stunning visuals or amazing gameplay or just even great dialogue. That's what the Game Awards is pertain like for, is to showcase everything that these developers put into their games. And him as a host, he's just there as a host. It's just, it's just like somebody, a celebrity hosting a Grammys. They're like if they have nothing to do with like fucking music or anything, then they're just a host at that point. But if they are artists themselves, then I can understand that they can provide a viewpoint on a matter that pertaining to the music industry. That's just how I see Jeff Keighley, being in this light, in this little debacle of an article, how he doesn't really have to speak out on the current state, in my opinion.
Right. And do you think too, in this case, like in this article, he's titling in this case that, and they're saying that the game industry deserves a better spokesperson than Jeff Keighley. Now, would you say that that statement alone is something that is warranted?
Again, I don't think so, because, well, why is he using the word spokesperson? Is he really a spokesperson? Who The main thing about games is that it's based on the satisfaction of the consumer, and that's how these companies make money. People consume and buy these games. They want to play it, and they're expecting it to be good. So I don't see why that statement has to be made from that person. You know.
Right. Do y'all two have anything to say with
to
that?
call him like a spokesperson, it's odd to say that we deserve or a better one. Like, I don't know. That is really odd. I don't understand where he's coming from, because he didn't mention, which he's not obligated to do, but mention the conditions of like workers, the state of the gaming industry. Like, he's not meant to do that. That's not what he was. That's not what he's up there to do. If you wanted someone to do that, you need to find someone else, not him. What I mean by that is like, find someone else who will talk about it, because as a host, he doesn't need to.
Right.
That's not what we're here for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry to say.
But and also the main important thing to remind people is the fact that to really give him the title of a spokesperson in the gaming industry, which is like already a weird title to really give to someone that's literally like all he's really doing is part of the show business stuff. And to, in this case, to address like the already earlier criticism about the fact that the game show of last year felt more like celebrities had more spotlight than the devs. That's probably because of the fact that looking back at the game industry, I think you had way more celebrities and other actors getting involved in the game industry than before. And knowing those two, Jeff Keighley himself has to probably like cross paths with, in this case, the filmmakers and the actors like union groups, which are probably by far one of the more powerful union groups, at least in terms of entertainment industry. And in a lot of cases too, Jeff Keighley is really trying his best to like, you know, appease them, just because of the fact if he does something wrong, it's going to like affect him like really, really badly. And it's also, it might not even be in his control either. It's also maybe the venue too, because they probably have specific rules on like how the shows are meant to be ran. Even though you yourself are the showrunner, in this case, the host, venues can have different rules about like how shows can be ran as well. So it's a whole lot of like, we don't know a lot that, in this case, why the game show went the way it did. But obviously, in return, he did stated that he is going to try to do better, which obviously does mean that it was probably that he was trying his best to like appease like a lot of like powerful people, at least for the Game Award show. But that's something that's like in some weird senses too, that the article kind of just doesn't really talk about that type of criticism, but it's mostly like he is criticizing his inaction on like trying to state issues that are happening with the game industry. And the worst thing of all, like he didn't say anything about like supporting like marginalized people like Palestinians and whatnot. I'm like, oh my God, this guy.
Yeah, that irks me, because that just sounds like virtue signaling like really hard. Like extremely hard. Like, we go there to watch games. We don't go there to listen to politics. Yeah. Why does everyone want to shove politics quite literally into every little facet and detail?
Yeah. And here's the other thing about this too, is that
I'm not going to be able to go buy milk without there being like a support Palestine like thing on the milk jug or something.
Yeah, I don't know. That feels even much more egregious to think about that. But here's the other thing to really think about as well too, for the person that write this article. Why do you expect, in this case, Jeff Keighley, who is part of the show business and is mostly focusing on the gaming industry, is like, why should he speak on like topics like that in the first place?
Well, don't you know that if he talks about it, that the bombs will stop being dropped?
Oh God. Oh yeah, like a tweet is actually going to stop shit. Yeah. God. Yeah. Like we've mentioned this in a previous podcast. Like these are the same fucking people that did like the whole Stop Coney 2012 bullshit. Like holy fuck. I swear that these are the same people that are just trying to cause, in this case, attention. And in this case, they want to like support already like a human tragedy that's going on right now too, which we can all agree, right? But the problem is the fact that you're having these people trying to state the opinions that obviously we shouldn't even like consider their opinions to begin with. Like this was also like a problem as well, such as they, instead of like Jeff Keighley, like we need him to say something about political peace. It's like in some ways too, like every other people like puts their own like ideology based on what their favorite artist says about a political issue.
I'm more and more convinced that people don't really have free thinking of their own. Instead, they get all of their ideas from others.
Yeah, and that's what it feels like too. And it's just like, at least for us saying this too, I don't think Jeff Keighley should say anything about this. At least that's in our opinion. He shouldn't be saying anything about this. And obviously, in this article that he wrote here, he was also like saying too that he's gonna expect at least like saying that this article probably will not get him invited to the next show, but he doesn't care as he'll still post the article anyways. Which, here's the thing about it, I don't think he should just be blacklisted for that, right?
I don't think he should be blacklisted for it.
Yeah, because here's the thing that I think is a better move for it too. Jeff Keighley should just invite him back in.
I mean,
just
like
to show face, like, I don't know.
His article is so stupid that it can't be threatening. So it's like, bring him back in anyway. It doesn't matter. And even if it was a threatening article, still be brought in. But what I mean is, like, I think that guy who wrote the article is overestimating the true value that he's bringing.
Yeah. Like, here's the thing about it too, that like the one thing that he said as a suggestion that Jeff Keighley could do is that like he could in this case just put a spotlight or promote like a lot of job openings for like game developers and whatnot. Like, here it's like a studio that's hiring and whatnot. He himself, in the same sentence that as part of that, even though he said like, even though that probably won't change anything, at least it's still something. You yourself disproved your previous statement.
Yeah, if you really believe in something, you're not going to say, even though it's not going to make a difference. Like, that just shows that really what you're doing is what we've been talking about for a while now. You're just talking. You're just virtue signaling. You're just doing nothing. You're doing nothing.
Which is even
Why
more
do something
infuriating.
you don't believe is going to work just because? No, don't waste the time.
Yeah, it's like if anything, I want to at least give Loy and Victor like the platform to speak about like their opinions about like hearing this shit too, because we've talked about this so many times about this before. And again, how do we even like address something like this anymore now as like normal people? I like to say we're kind of normal.
Well, some of us are normal.
I mean, we're normal in the sense that we don't have to. We're not like this guy. All shade included.
It's all good. It's a good bar to start.
Yeah, it's like
I don't know. It's just stupid that he don't like you mentioned previously. He mentioned the Palestinians. Yes, we can all fucking acknowledge that it's a fucking terrible tragedy. We all know that. You don't have to force somebody to say their opinion on it because everybody's gonna think the same thing. It's fucking horrendous. And it's fucking horrible what they're going through. You don't have to make them say it publicly. You don't have to do anything. Honestly, why are you forcing your opinion to make somebody else state their opinion on a matter that's not even relevant to what you're trying to discuss? It's about a card like the fucking Game Awards, a Game Award host. Why
okay.
You bring politics?
Also,
yeah, go ahead.
The audacity of the guy to come up here and tell the host of something of the game show who set all of this up and demand that he does what he wants. That like he's like, you need to be doing this. Why didn't you do this? Like pushing his own ideas onto the game host. Like, shut the hell up. Who are you? Who are you?
Oh no, for real. Shut up.
God, it's one of those things too that like obviously this is why in this case like we do encourage like people to like that do engage on social media, please hop off of it. It's not good for your own mental sake. I'm only going through this stuff too because I'm doing this to farm content here. Like I look at like think about it this way. At least this is how I'm keeping my sanity, is the fact that I look at the most stupidest shit and just think of like, you're only getting likes, but it's not because I agree with you. It's because I'm gonna farm the shit out of you for this.
Mm-hmm. Are you fucking level 1 goblin looking ass?
Hell yes, I am. Yeah. We're at a space too where like literally people can make a fool of themselves, and guess what? People that like highlight these stupid people get so many views about this. So why not? And it's already, we're just helping in this case shine a spotlight to a problem to our own like way how we think. So really, I don't see an issue with this. But obviously, this guy takes issues with, in this case, Jeff Keighley's inaction for not being an activist. Which
not everyone wants to be an activist, though.
Yeah.
I feel.
yeah.
Yeah, I want to be a deactivist.
Yeah.
Why does
everyone
everyone need to be an activist? I just want to sleep. God damn.
This generation is lazy.
It's like, shut the hell up. It's like it's one of the many things too that like from this article alone, the guy, he only made one compelling argument here. And it's the fact that as of right now too, because of like all of the massive layoffs that are happening, not just in the game industry, but in this case, a lot of like tech industries overall, is that it's creating an environment of like survivorship biases. And there's also like some type of like survival mode trauma that a lot of these people are, even if they're looking for a job or in a job, for example, such as they're not like sure of like at the job they have that they'll just get axed immediately.
Survival mode trauma.
I don't know. I'm making up words there, but you get my point here. So it's like in some ways, yes, it is definitely a problem because of like the frequency of these mass layoffs is terrible as well. But me myself that watched the Game Awards, I don't expect Jeff Keighley to be the person to address this situation. Yes, he talks about games, but does that mean that he should? Obviously, no. If all he does is that he hosts shows, runs the show business, and it just so happens to highlight games, he shouldn't be like tied to any of this. He's more than welcome to. Like everybody has like the right to have an opinion. Debatably.
Except for this guy.
Debatably. But every other person's voice is, in this case, one way or the other, valued one way or the other. But that person that does throw out the values too, they need to be prepared for people that want to pick apart or criticize their opinions.
Yep.
That is the other issue that I do see with this too. Is like people that are like defending themselves too, they are also like straight up. They don't know how to like take a criticism or opinion, or they just do everything they can to make themselves like not be like the sole reason why like things are a problem. When in reality, the article, even though like he wants like people to like state the problem too, they don't realize too that you as a game journalist, you are part of the problem of why the game industry is where it's at.
Well, I'd say that's just consumers. Like that's the whole point. Like the market will always speak for itself.
Yeah, and sure, market will always speak for itself, but how would consumers actually like learn about stuff then from journalists? Because unfortunately, it's like in a way too, consumers do have the power too, but obviously game journalists have more power into like voicing like what like the purchasing power is. And therefore, when you have more gaming journalists like this, that in this case, this article writer that paints like all this horrible highlights of this, all they're really doing is exacerbating the problem. Words are hard, man. I'm trying to use too many big words here. My bad, guys. But
all these big boy words.
Anyways, all it really is happening too is that they're just intensifying the already existing problem with the game industry. Now, should it be something that like in one way or the other, they can definitely talk about it for sure. But don't expect like other people that aren't like doing your job, right, to speak for you. You as a gaming journalist here, he has supposed to have the integrity to not like slander people's name. I feel like that's one of like the journalism codes too, where like you're supposed to be able to like write a article piece that is in this case able to persuade the masses without having to slander another person's name. Because that's all I read from this too, with like my limited English reading abilities. By that I mean I got a C in that in high school.
Oh my gosh.
I could definitely tell that this person clearly like what Michael said, he's just virtual signaling. There's no substance to what he is
he's
writing.
just virtually signaling.
Yeah, there's like he doesn't make any really point about it himself too, because the only real point is that Jeff Keighley needs to change, and it has to be my way or our way of how we handled this, which is nonsense.
It's either my way or no way.
Yeah,
my way or the highway.
Like it's all nonsense of what they're talking about here. I'm like, I sound getting heated up for this shit too, but it's just like this just being like a simple human being of like understanding context here.
I'm heating up.
That's why I don't like journalists.
Yeah, bro, he's cooking too hot, bro.
Well, here's
let him cook. Let him cook. He's burning. Flip him.
Here's the thing. Like, I don't mind it. Like, I don't mind in this case actual journalism that happens too. Like, for example, CoffeeZilla. He is in this case doing proper journalism about like showcasing and highlighting. In this case, it may seem like it would be slander to the people that he's targeting, but obviously he is addressing it in a way that it's factually, like in this case, this is what they are doing.
Yeah.
And this guy, Jeff Keighley, or what he's saying about Jeff Keighley, there's not really any facts about this. The only facts that was given in this is that the criticism to the Game Awards, which was in this case, more celebrities got more screen time than the developers, which that's the only criticism. And everybody knows that. That's the difference. You as a journalism, you have to highlight problems that people are not actually seeing. And that is a problem. This is not a problem that Jeff Keighley needs to address. That's the other issue here then too. There's so many things that you could definitely say criticize Jeff Keighley about, like being a sellout, but then again, here you are posting articles that, if anything, you don't get to see ads here because I have in this case built-in ad blocker, but definitely there are ads going to be playing in this article, and he's going to be making profits off of this ad here. So if anything, this alone feels disingenuous, and I don't take this shit seriously anymore. But it's just, how dare you to say that Jeff Keighley is compromised for taking sponsorship? How dare you to like say that he is a bad person just because he's trying to make money?
For real.
Like, holy fuck.
Isn't he trying to make money too?
Exactly.
Aren't we all just trying to make money?
We're all just trying to make money. We need money to live.
Yeah. Like,
I feel that.
Yeah, my God, I don't even think I've been this heated for a bit too, but God, it's just the whole thing about it too. Like, he believes he has this moral high ground of like stating that he can do this because Jeff Keighley is not on my level. That's what it feels like too, that like he's kind of seeing him as a lower state than he is, even though nobody knows who the fuck this person is until I clicked on this and I see his fucking profile picture here. And literally, he's blaming, in this case, another person that had talked about this, saying that I get a sudden influx of dickheads in my mentions.
I mean, it's warranted.
It is warranted, for sure.
Like, come on, bro. Have you not seen the way you can speak and post about an article? Kind of warranted. People read it, they get angry. Gonna come here.
Like, here's the thing.
Shit talk you.
Like, here's definitely at least only one good praise about the person too, is that you as a journalism, this is your job. Like, you want people to know about this. Write about that. Write about the issues that you care about without putting another person's name in the dirt.
For real.
This is me being a constructive criticism towards him right here.
He can definitely do better in how he words things, for sure.
Like, obviously, too, I could have gone the easy route, call him a fucking piece of shit head here, which obviously he still is, for this case, slandering another person's name just because he's not following your way. But still, maybe I just have better hopes for people, too, that they could probably do better.
Hopefully.
It's one of those things too that like I'm only angry about it too because this is something that like we shouldn't be having to have like this much like adversity or even like such emotion towards subjects like this. all because like it should have been a quick and simple, yeah, he doesn't have to say anything about it. That's not his job. Like it's like a simple understanding of that too. And also a lack of, in this case, knowing in this case, what is your actual role as being a journalism?
Journalist.
Or sorry, journalist, my bad.
Making up crap. Just making things up.
Truly.
Generating clicks. Getting ad revenue.
Yeah, and
rinse and repeat. Be useless.
And like what I think you mentioned before, like it doesn't even feel real when you read this shit. It feels like he's trolling, which there could be like a hint of truth. There could be a hint of truth too, where like he himself probably doesn't even feel this way about it either. It could have been in this case whoever this journalism site is part of that's telling him to write this stuff. But I could be wrong. I don't know which would be the truth, but either way, it doesn't really matter in the end. He posted this out there. It's now out there on the internet. You are going to get farmed, and you are definitely going to get criticized for what you have stated here. Just because it is objectively what you said is definitely wrong to how people actually feel about the topic. At least a lot of normal people feel about this. Game Awards are meant to, in this case, celebrate the excellency of modern games. And in this case, we have to do, or at least Jeff Keighley does need to get better at showcasing like the story of like the developers and whatnot here, right? But at the end of the day here, he is doing this for the gamers and the fans of these games. As much as in this case, it is nice to see like highlights of game devs too. It has always been and will, or it has always been and will forever be about the consumer. In this case, it will always be about us, the gamers that actually like watch these things.
And play the games. Don't forget that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, truly, that is the whole thing that like Jeff Keighley is like going for. He may not be a gamer, but he understands like the market position that he holds in regards to that. Such as he understands where he is placed in a very interesting spot between being a producer for a show and in this case, showcasing a lot of games. Which honestly too, like if we think about the last Grammy Awards that came up too, that did no numbers. At least that's my tinfoil hat. That's why we saw more actors here, because the Grammys fucking flopped.
I didn't know too much about that, but shit, yeah. I gotta look into that.
Yeah, all I've heard about it is that this last year's Grammys did not do that great.
Oof. I heard it's just a participation kind of deal. Like, oh, we're gonna give this person an award and satisfy people, some shit.
Yeah, that's
what I heard.
Yeah, it does feel that way too, and that's why I do feel like it feels more legitimate with the Game Awards too, because it truly does feel that way for a lot of audience. Now, to all the people that are in the Spider-Man 2 copers too, that think that they should have won Game of the Year, you are definitely hard coping. Keep sniffing that copium.
Yeah, sniff it hard. Yay.
Sniff, sniff.
Here's at least what I will give to you here. You guys did definitely have the really good selling game for a modern superhero title. That is all I can give you.
Because usually those don't do too well, or they're not doing well enough to win that award.
And if anything, it's usually like the only series that we could think of is like the Arkham series. But that's about it.
Arkham Knight, Arkham Asylum.
Yeah. So
great
really,
games.
That's the only thing I will give credit to for like at least me addressing to Spider-Man fans too, because guess what? I am also a Spider-Man fan, but in terms of like movies, comics, and TV shows. Not towards games really, although I do at some point want to like play copies of like all the 3 Insomniac Spider-Man games at some point, but right now time is not up the essence on my part, unfortunately. Time is not on my side. But
I feel that.
But yeah, and this is why I would like to at least shift it into a much more positive note too, that like a lot more people are really showcasing that will pivot from here too. And I want to at least say that the gaming industry too is going through a very interesting time. At least something that at least we kind of predicted, and it's not even like that terrible or not that inaccurate of a description of or inaccurate prediction that we saw beforehand. Such as we're going to see a lot more Japanese titles and a lot more indie titles are actually going to take a lot of main spotlights here. Like, take for example, look what happened with Lito Company. Why was that game so much more successful?
It's amazing.
Yeah. Like there, because it goes to show too, the gaming industry is never dying. I don't think it ever has been. Just because think about it in a way too that like based on a story that I heard that a lot of the original Rocksteady developers already left the company during the production of Suicide Squad. And so if that's the case for Rocksteady, imagine how many other original devs from every other studios left as well. Not fired, just straight up left them because of the fact they saw what was happening. Henceforth, you see in this case titles like Stormgate, which is developed by the original people that worked on StarCraft, which does mean too, like, oh, these are the guys that left Blizzard. And they decided to make their own studio just so that they can make a game that they want. And I think that's like a very like great trend that we've been seeing right now too, is that there's just so many game studios right now that are just making the games that they want to make here.
Mostly in the indie field, right?
Yeah, mostly in the indie
100%.
field. Yeah, Pal World, for example, too, despite its own controversy that we talked about either, which was all unwarranted.
Kind of.
It was kind of warranted.
Kind of. Yeah, kind of, just because of how similar it is. But then in the reality, when they talk about like Pokemon Company was investigating, it wasn't even about Pal World, but it was for another title. That was
for another discussion.
Yeah, that's like, if any, not even another discussion. It's just unrelated, and that's just about it. Now, even then too, indie space, foreign like Japanese companies too that are popping off too. Capcom, for example, Bandai Namco. Hell, we're even gonna see. We even see Tekken 8 like taking storm about it too. Fuck you, Loy, with your Lars character bullshit shifting into 3 stances in like a millisecond.
And not my fault you don't know how to punish it.
Yeah, I know, for real, bro. That just sounds like a skill issue to me.
It is. I'm just mad.
Exactly. Stay mad until you punish it. And then you can feel good about it.
But regardless, too, like based on even before too, like we even like stated earlier from our previous episodes that at least the way how I left it out, I feel good about the state of the games that are coming out nowadays.
Oh yeah, dude.
Like in this case, every one of you guys too, like there is at least a game that at least it interested you and it actually met your expectations. Like it's an actually fucking completed game.
Persona.
Weirdly enough,
right now.
Weirdly enough, it's one of those things too. Like nobody likes remakes, but then Persona 3 came out, and everyone's like, "Shit, all right, here we go."
Dude, it's a fucking banger of a game. That fucking opening sequence is a fucking banger. I'm gonna say it right now. You can fight me on it. Kiss my ass.
I'll fight you. Not because you said that. I'll just fight you.
All right. Square up, motherfucker. Square up. But yeah, dude.
Yeah. But yeah, if anything, Michael, is there anything that you're doubtful for of the future, or is there something that like you're hoping and it's looking like a bright future ahead for the gaming space?
Okay, I was about to say if you left it at that, it was really vague. Indie. Honestly, I'm at the point where like I couldn't care less for the most part. A lot of AAA things being released. There's a few people that I keep my eye on, but beyond that, really AAA offers almost nothing anymore. So I typically keep an eye out for indie games. And I'll be honest, a lot of the ways that I find interesting indie games is watching streamers play. Like I'll like just pop on streams and like see how what they're playing, because I'm like not subscribed, but I'm following a lot of people who do like variety horrors or variety games, and that's kind of where I get to see the spread of games. And honestly, the indie field has so many interesting concepts. a lot of also bad concepts, but the creativity is so much more vibrant there. It's so much more lively.
Yeah, like we have nothing really to like worry about too. Sure, again, this is not to like understate the fact that there are like trying times for like these big companies, but at the same time, for us like consumers in the end too, why do we give a fuck? Or in this case, why should we give a fuck?
We shouldn't. I don't think so. The developers should do their jobs and make a good game. That's how I see it. Just like engineers of Apple needs to work hard to make a good phone. I see
Or
it the
make
same
a
way.
better VR headset.
I'm dead. You know, that was the yes.
Yes.
But yeah, it goes to show too, like this is like the main best qualities of Helldivers 2, which is like it has some of the things that you would think that people would hate, which is like it costs like somewhat amount of money and it's a live service game and there's even a battle pass. But here's the fucking thing, nobody is complaining about that because the game is just superbly fun. I'm even playing it every now and then too. Shit is hilarious of the amount of times I accidentally team killed my squad.
You mean all the time?
No.
You mean all the time?
No.
Team killing asshole.
Yeah,
I'm
and
gonna team kill you.
but here's the thing that at least I think a lot of people are saying too, and also to clarify, we're no longer talking about AAA. We're going to be coining quadruple A gamers or quadruple A developers now. This is Ubisoft's fault.
Disgusting.
Yeah. Apparently what constitutes for a quadruple A game is that it's a live service game and it costs $70 and it's going to have a battle pass and you're going to just have to deal with it and give us more money.
Exactly why AAA is bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quadruple A.
Yeah, we have to start saying quadruple A games now, Michael. This is the standard that they want to do. They were the ones to originally push for the fact that
we shouldn't be feeding into their standards. It's garbage.
No, that's the thing. We know it's garbage. Let's keep feeding into it to show them like how bad it is, and they'll just run themselves down to the ground like what Ubisoft already did.
No, the thing is, I don't want to see these companies fail. I want to see them go back to their roots.
No, fail.
Fail.
I want them to go back to what they were good at and what made them great to begin with.
Here's the thing, Michael. All the people that made the games that were good back then already moved on to new studios.
No.
Yeah, it's not about the company anymore.
It's not. I know.
The ideas really go with the developers that left.
Yeah,
I know.
That's why you see like a lot of like indie projects actually taking off too, because those are being spearheaded by like ex-legacy developers. And they like know how like what makes a good game and what in this case fans truly care about. Because even though we have in this case our like gripes too that like sometimes it's like gaming or gamers don't truly know what they want to, there's at least one commonality. We just want good games. That is it. And that's something that at least I agree with further with that.
Good and creative games.
Yeah. And here's the thing, you don't even need to be that much more creative. Just make something that's fun. I fucking have Last Epoch, and I'll even state this too. This shit is better than Diablo 4. I feel even worse than myself. Like, why the fuck did I spend $70 on this game?
Why did you?
Because of the fact that it was Diablo, and I had to fucking play it.
No, you didn't.
I never played a Diablo.
Sure. I didn't have to play it, but obviously I did go through it in the end too, just to like play only the story. Anyways, that's at least going to be my last. Diablo 4 will actually be my last game that will be like paid with that $70 price tag. Okay, maybe Tekken 8 was the other exception. Anyways.
Well, I mean, games are going to be 70 going forward.
Yeah, games are going to be
probably going to be going forward. So, you know, you're probably going to buy a new game that's $70 in the future. I can see it happening now.
Hey, come on. Hey, man, you can't tell me when as I see Dragon's Dogma 2 around the corner.
Kick W.
Sees the $69.99 price tag, sweats.
We'll just make our own game and we'll make it $79.99.
Oh God, we're gonna push the limits to this shit, aren't we? God damn.
Damn.
I don't know.
We're gonna charge $100 for a base game and then tons of add-ons. Yay, sim style.
Yeah,
Yay.
I do hope too that like the success of Helldivers 2 and Pal World and whatnot shows like a bigger like fuck you to the people that stated that we need to charge our games now to $70 to make up for production cost. Especially the problem
Also,
being with these.
I know one of the developers said that game should be $70 or something. This is also a reason why developers shouldn't be talking.
Right. And the other problem with that too is that the problem is the fact that the price warranting being $70 is because the fact that we've seen that these AAA studios are dumping so much money into development for these
Yeah,
games.
That's fine, but that's not our concern.
I was gonna say, Victor, wasn't it you who said that like the reason why they're getting more and more expensive is because they're too large to succeed now at this point. Like they just keep done. Like there's so much money going into production because of all the staffing that they just.
Yeah, mostly just how big the staffing is. I mean, games are getting more ambitious, and with games being charged only a certain amount of money, there's like a standard of how much you charge for a game. So our current standard now is becoming $70. I mean, it's clear that you can only make a game. There's a limit to how good you can make a game.
Yeah.
See, when you compare it to different products, if you make a good product, you could charge it however much you want. It doesn't matter. Like, let me find a good example. Let's say an iPhone and a Samsung, right?
Right.
A good iPhone, the highest end iPhone can cost $1,000, and the lower end Samsungs can cost like a couple $100, right? Even though they're both phones, they both vary drastically in quality, so they both have a drastically different price tag. With games, there seems to be a cap. No matter how good you make a game, it can only be $70 or something like that, $60 or $70.
Mm-hmm.
So I also wonder how much money can developers really like put into a game before it no longer becomes profitable. Yeah, have y'all seen GTA 6 yet? Have y'all seen
I
how
haven't
good that
yet.
looks?
No,
I don't know if that's real. I don't know if
Actually,
that's
I've seen
real
the
or not.
trailers. I've seen the trailer of it, but yeah, I don't know if that's how it's going to look like either. There's even a lot of reports saying that it's going to be like 200 gigs worth of like
if that is real, I wonder how much money Rockstars are reporting to the game.
Right.
It's if it's well north of like how much? Oh God.
Let's just assume like 150 million.
Well, let's be honest.
That's a very conservative estimate. I know Destiny 2 cost 500 million. I'm sure GTA 6 is like well north of that. GTA 5 was already very expensive as it is.
Right.
I was gonna say, like, I'm really sure that the amount of times that they've resold, repackaged, and charged out the butt for everything in GTA 5 that it's probably well more paid for than anything. That's what all the funding was going for.
Yeah, but I understand that. But I also wonder how good. You can make a game with the current limitation of how much you can charge each game copy. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, like if one of those things too, like I think it was before, like with the original like $60 games that a lot of people were already like against for when it was first introduced. It was providing in this case a predictable like income for like the company. But at some point, like they did project that it was going to straight up plateau and then drop. As in this case, it reached the targeted like amount of players that would buy this game. And obviously, that's why a lot of these bigger game studios, they're going for live service to begin with. Because usually with those live service, they have like a culmination of features like microtransaction, gotcha mechanics, all the battle passes that you could fucking think of. They're just trying to figure out more ways to like extract money from you. And guess what, too? Even then, that was not enough because that was with the $60 price tag. Now they're going to do it with the $70 to see if they can increase that plateau.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting at. Also, that also brings up another point. Like, You only have a limited amount of people that will buy your game.
Yeah.
So that's also another limitation.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't know, man. It's very much interesting to think about. Like, I think the real big answer.
It's odd.
I think really the good
hold on,
answer.
One second. I do find it odd where you can either have a live service game, or you can charge them $70 for the game. If you do both, that doesn't look good on your company. But if you give it away for free, like some game companies do, they give away their games for free and then charge people like microtransactions and stuff like that, then it may not make you as much money. So I think game developers are in a dilemma right now. Well, AAA games anyways. AAA game studios are in a dilemma right now.
Yeah, because like, let's take for example, like, how is League of Legends still around? Probably because half the time they're probably being sponsored out by like Tencent, for example.
I'm not surprised. I'm sure that is the case.
Yeah,
I can't imagine them actually. I can't imagine them like losing money because they do have like a large player base that does buy things from.
Oh yeah, all the horny boys, the Sims, the e-girls.
Like,
but yeah, no, I can't
imagine.
I can't imagine them losing money.
Right?
Maybe they're not making a lot of money, but I can't imagine them losing money.
Yeah, it's a very already interesting topic. Like, we talked about like live service game initially too, but in this case, in the space that they are existing right now in the game industry, especially the way how AAA studios are adapting it, I feel like, at least in my opinion, live service game is just terrible, especially the way how AAA studios are going about it. I'm sorry, quadruple A studios are going about it. Yeah. Because to them, they literally are thinking that like they could get away by charging us like $70 games, make it a live service, because to them, all that really means is that they'll slowly fix the game over time. And in this case, they're essentially releasing us a bare bones product.
I mean, updating the game over time is not a bad thing per se, but I do understand that the updates that happen over time should be more bug fixes and not really like feature releases.
Yeah, like that was like initially like what it felt like too, is that like, yeah, I do believe that like some of the live service, it should just be patching and bug fixing. It shouldn't be in this case, oh, we're gonna do like that one time where Modern Warfare 2 had to do like a 100 gigabyte patch. I don't know what that was for.
All right, also off topic for half a second, but day one patches are fucking stupid.
They are stupid. Damn, who sneezed in the background?
That's my brother, I'm sorry.
No, good. Sorry, but day one patches are really dumb, because all that really means is that it could have been the fact too that they were still trying to like fix the bugs and whatnot too, but obviously they had to like release it the deadline. They had to release it then.
Problem. Yeah. All right, all right. I'm not going to drag this out. We shouldn't drag this topic out. But how I see it is that why couldn't they get the bug fixes before the game is released? You can literally just get all the bug fixes in like the day before the game's released. I don't understand why they have to do it when the game is released. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, there's so many things that like, at least with these big studios, I'm not even surprised too that like, if they weren't able to figure this out, I don't expect them to know how they're gonna pull themselves out from like the situation they put themselves in.
Yeah.
So like,
that's all right.
Because at the end of the day, we as a consumer, we genuinely don't care how these studios are run. Such as 343. I don't know why you're still around. I will keep throwing shade at them no matter what.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I don't know. There's so many things that like I do genuinely all the not 343, but all the quadruple A studios or triple A studios have dug themselves in. Quadruple A.
Quintuple.
No, I refuse.
But anyways, they have dug themselves so deep in the hole that I genuinely don't think they have a way to get out of this. And this is the result of that. They had to do layoffs.
Unfortunate.
Which is the unfortunate consequence that happened. But obviously that was like, in this case, the decision that they decided to go forward with. And that's why you had like a lot of your key staff that left. Whether or not if it was like good on them that they saw the ship was sinking or not too, but who knows? There's a lot of things that at least I don't know because I'm not purview to what's happening behind the scenes to a lot of these studios. I don't think any of us are purview to that or should be purview to that.
Nope. We don't work in the game industry.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that is like how like the games are going to be for now on too. A lot more people have been paying attention to these smaller studios, which I am most definitely happy for.
Mm-hmm.
Because all this is really doing too is reaffirming that in this case, the gamer community does know what they want. And it's just the fact that will these bigger studios actually take notice, or will they keep trying to flounder with like the minuscule goals that they get? I think that's something of an open-ended question there too. I don't really expect this one to be answered just because I don't know how these guys are going to react.
Mm-hmm.
But
Indeed, knows.
Yeah, but to really paint this out for better for the people that are watching this too, we've already been out of, in this case, the roughest part about the games too, where there was like a drought of like good content game. We are getting good content game out too. Me and Lloyd can really attest to the fact too that, hey, maybe y'all should pick up JRPGs.
Dude, I stand by it. Play Persona. Banger character design, music, gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear a lot of good things about Persona, but it's such a time sink.
Hey,
Oh yeah,
most
you gotta
JRPGs are time sinks.
Most RPGs are.
You gotta.
I think the only like big RPG I would have played was Monster Hunter World.
Mm-hmm.
I love that game. That was so fun.
I still love the fact too that the only reason why the game like got a resurgence of player was literally the actual director of the games just said, "Hey, y'all should hop back in the game." Everybody else, shit, all right. If anything, that's the most beautiful thing about all this too. We're seeing like so many things happening, and definitely for the better too. We're seeing in this case a new renaissance. I believe it's a new renaissance era in games. I'm gonna make that clear, and I will make that statement. I'll die on this hill, and I don't think anybody really is gonna like say no to that, regardless, too. Just because, again,
no.
Who would have thought in this case the most popular games right now is a Pokemon knockoff, a unreleased Halo ODST project title based off a 343 employee that stated that the Helldiver suit was originally what their newer Halo ODST games was supposed to be like. And then you have, in this case, the last epoch, which is the Diablo 4 killer, which I do agree with too, until Path of Exile 2 comes out. And that itself is already a free-to-play game, and it's already looking crazy as shit. So, we're all eating good too. Even people in the fighting game community, we are right now cannot wait until the next Evo comes around. Just because that shit is about to be fucking wild. Maybe we'll do streams at like the Vegas Strip. I don't know.
Hey, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Bro, let's go.
Vegas Strip.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens from here on, from how games are going to play out too. Mm-hmm. To those that are gamers that do watch us, dude, thank you for listening to our rambling and bullshit. Hopefully what we said does resonate with y'all. If not, I don't really care. I'm at least wanting to know that if you were entertained by our nonsense.
I would like to say that even though the host may be like this, you should definitely like, comment, and subscribe because we do love to hear from you.
I don't believe
I did. Please do. I need the engagement.
You were begging.
Yeah.
Bro, the boy begging, bro.
Yeah, YouTube algorithms is something that's definitely a slave to. I need to make sure that we pop off here. But anyways, does any one of you here have any closing notes for this?
Yeah, quadruple A doesn't exist. Shut up.
Yeah, we got a quintuple. It's
No,
quintuple A, bro. What do you mean?
Look, we have to do it because we had to respect Ubisoft's decision to saying that they have made it their first quadruple A game in the industry.
Sure, we do.
Hey, that's not me. That's on them saying it. So, my final statement for this, too. Keep enjoying life, guys. You don't need to be on Twitter or social media. Please get off of social media if you are listening to this. But keep engaging with our video. Keep engaging with our videos, though, because we need that content or we need that engagement. And possibly, in this case, for future content ideas that we can do. We have already planned out like a couple more things down the line, too. But let's see what happens when we get to those.
Oh,
But
yeah.
outside of that, thank you all for listening in on tonight's podcast, too. I'll see you guys next week. See ya.
We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.